Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today we're covering the ban list that was dropped yesterday, the emergency ban list that so many of us were asking for. I was going to be okay personally whether or not they decided to do an emergency ban list or not. I thought the format before this list was playable, not perfect, but still playable. But they did decide to drop this emergency ban list on us that will go live September 3rd, which is pretty much when Anniversary Box 2021 is supposed to be releasing. But because of shipping delays and problems like that, it seems like it's being delayed in most regions. A little unfortunate, but still, this will be live for Gen Con, and I'm going to Gen Con, so I will be excited to be playing with this new format. Just off the rip, we're going to talk about all these different bans and erratas, and Bandai did give written reasoning, which we will cover. But overall, I'm pretty excited about it. I think most of this is a pretty good job. The vast majority of it's pretty good. Anyways, I guess we'll get into it. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. Let's get right on into it. So for bans, we're starting with Belmod, and I'll go over Bandai's individual reasoning for each card as we go through it. So the ban reasoning for Belmod: the activate main skill of this card circumvents the unique keyword, leading to unintended interactions with cards in the current and future card pool. Therefore, we decided to ban this card. Absolutely hit the nail on the head there. The fact that, you know, for example, Tau or even like Basil Fatal Rampage could be removed from your board with Belmod and then replayed definitely gets around the unique tag in a pretty abusive way. I would have been fine if they errated this to U11 leader only, or, you know, can't attack turn it's played. Because again, I said it before, on some level, I do think sacrificing 3 bodies to play one guy is somewhat balanced, but in the ways that he was being used, it was incredibly unfair. So banning it, absolutely fine. Mercenary Tau, Unequaled Assassin, is banned as well. This card creates significantly aggressive pressure without any cost. Therefore, we decided to ban this card. Again, agreed. Any red deck, red's thing right now, besides like minusing power of cards, is spamming pretty cheap cards, which this list does a lot to address, and we'll get to that. But yeah, Tau, just free 15k critical. Red at this point could get, like, if you want to think about it this way, 2 to 3 additional overwhelms per turn compared to decks and other colors, which it wasn't right. So Tau going, absolutely correct. We also have Bardock the Resolute on the ban list. Well, so what they say is, while this card was previously on the limited list, the current environment makes it easier to draw many cards in a single game. That's just the nature of Dragon Ball Super, really. Drawing one of this card is enough to create significant aggressive pressure without an energy cost. Therefore, we decided to ban this card. With Tau and Belmod getting banned, I don't think they had to go and touch Bardock, but I'm not upset that they did. It is really annoying when they do draw the one of Bardock now, or when they did, I guess, before this ban list, because you knew that they just got lucky and drew the one of, and that's a pretty feels bad gameplay experience. So putting it to 0 is fine. I know a lot of people don't really like limits anyway. There are some limits on this list we'll talk about, so kind of sucks for those kind of people, but regardless, still a fine ban in my opinion. Son Goku Power of Legend, though, is a really interesting ban. Let's see what they have to say about it. So this card can create significant aggressive pressure without an energy cost. Therefore, we decided to ban this card. Okay, so pretty much same exact reasoning as Bardock, although Power of Legend's not really played in aggressive decks per se. It's played in hand control, namely mostly Cell Surge. So like, you could be ripping your opponent's hand to near 0 and then getting in with 15k crits, which is further denying cards to their hand. So I mean, I don't think this card had to be touched, but I'm not upset that it is, because Cell Surge in some matchups can feel obscenely oppressive. So the fact that you're getting rid of their free 15k critical for doing what their deck does, which is rip the cards out of your hand, I'm definitely okay with that for sure. And what's so funny to me, what's really hilarious to me, is the ban to Mecha Frieza. This was perhaps the biggest thing I was pushing for with the set 14 ban list, which is ban Mecha Frieza. It was just the best generic yellow leader. Not many other leaders came close, and yes, they did go with the decision of banning Universe Line Assemble, which did, you know, nerf the power of Mecha Frieza. And for the first 2 weeks of Cross Spirits format, no Mecha Frieza was found topping any events, at least that I was able to cover. So it seems like on the surface, Unite Assemble, the ban of it, did the job of nerfing Mecha Frieza, but their reasoning here is actually really good. So we endeavor to balance this card by banning Unite Assemble, but we decided to ban this leader card and unban Unite Assemble for the following reasons. Unrelated Unite decks were being punished by the ban, which we determined goes against our philosophy of creating a game where everyone can enjoy using their favorite characters. And then this leader remained versatile and powerful even with United Assembled banned. Therefore, we decided to ban this card to allow diversity among yellow leaders in the competitive environment. So, second part, not so much, because again, at least for the tournaments that I was able to cover, I don't know, there was 1 or 2 tournaments I didn't get the info for that I couldn't cover. Maybe Mecha Frieza did better in those tournaments. But yeah, Mecha Frieza wasn't really seen post set 14. And again, the Universe United Assembled ban did technically do the job it was intended, which was nerf the power of Mecha Frieza. But they pretty much hit the nail on the head there, that Universe 9 decks had to suffer for pretty much no reason, just so that this leader could exist. And as long as there's any decent extra card that comes out, Mecha Frieza instantaneously just becomes insane. So definitely very, very happy with this kind of like reversion, I guess, to the previous ban list. We do have some limits though, so let's take a look at those. Firstly, we have Piccolo New Ruler, which this was a big card on the chopping block for set 14 that didn't get touched in set 14, but it is being limited now. So the reasoning is this card greatly contributes to oppressive red deck aggro gameplay patterns. In order to mitigate this, we decided to limit this card. So yeah, I pretty much saw this coming because they are giving this card, Piccolo New Ruler, the same treatment as Bergamo Ferocious Roar, in the sense that they are printing it with a winner stamp for the next set of competitive events. So wouldn't really made sense to ban the card. So I do think limited to 1. I do think Piccolo New Ruler is fine. Like a once per game additional overwhelm for a red deck, I think is much more manageable than, like, you know, every single turn past turn 2, turn 3, or whenever you play your unison, you can have an additional overwhelm. That's where things get a little bit out of hand. So I'm actually very, very okay with the King Piccolo New Ruler limited to 1. It's kind of like Bardock the Resolute, but I mean, I guess you can argue one way or the other. One takes more setup than the other depending on what deck you're playing. I guess you can look at it that way. But anyways, they also decided to limit Janemba Bewitching Blow, which is definitely out of left field. I don't think anybody was expecting anything like this. So let's see what Janemba has to say. This card greatly contributes to oppressive blue deck aggro gameplay patterns. In order to mitigate this, we've decided to limit this card. Basically copy and pasted from Piccolo New Ruler. But I mean, I guess they're in a similar ballpark. Like in the blue Gohan deck, or even in a Soul Striker skillless deck, you could just, like, you know, free play Janemba and attack your opponent twice for crit. This one, I would say, takes a fair amount more setup than either Bardock the Resolute or King Piccolo New Ruler. And I wouldn't say Blue Gohan was, like, overly oppressive, but it seems like the theme of this list is just taking a hard stance on free play cards. So I guess it does kind of make sense with what they decided to do here. Now, we do have a pool of erratas, which we'll read the specific erratas and go over them. So firstly, each of the Dark Brolys is being errated to have a black energy cost added to them. So yeah, Dark Broly, it's just not doing these things for free anymore, which is a really good thing. They have a reasoning for it. So they say, we're choosing to errata the above 3 cards to curb free play based aggro and allow for diversity among black leaders in the competitive environment. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I think this is actually a really, really good nerf to Dark Broly. I think that a 1-drop 30k is still powerful, but this is not going to be nearly as insane as Dark Broly has been in the past. This is actually a really, really good job on Bandai's part. I really like this because one of the alternatives was either doing a really convoluted errata to the leader, which I don't think Bandai would have wanted to do. The other thing was just ban the leader outright or ban some number of these 30ks. And I do like this. I think this is a really good errata that at least adds some cost to these cards. You have to keep in mind that, like, when you're doing things for free, the resources of the game, being our energy, don't matter. But even though a 1-drop 30k is still a really, really good rate for a 30k battle card with additional effects, Dark Broly is only going to be able to do so much of that per turn now. So even though it's just adding 1 energy as opposed to 0 energy, that does make a really big difference than a lot of people might think. So nextly, there is an errata to Planet Vampa. And again, going back to the set 14 ban list, many people wondered if, let's just say, the rest of the aggro decks are checked, is Red Broly just going to be way too oppressive? Because it is a really strong aggressive deck, right? So they decided to do something about it. So basically, to use Planet Vampa's effect, part of the cost is now you have to have no battle cards in play. So all Planet Vampa really is going to be for Red Broly is a starter card. You can't use Planet Vampa anymore to further establish your board if you already have battle cards in play, which I think is actually a good change. And I do actually think that Red Broly is still going to be good, just not like insane levels of good. Not that it really was insane levels of good, but like this definitely just reins it in a bit more. I still think the ability of the -6 on the Piccolo Jr. Unison, the 1-drop Piccolo Jr. Unison, is going to be a really powerful play the deck has, and a lot of aggro stuff here got kind of gutted. So Planet Vampa and Red Broly, I do think, are going to kind of step up for those players who still want to play aggro. And I just want to say, as a result of this ban list, I definitely want aggro to still be a playstyle that can see success. But when you're winning the game on turn 1, turn 2, that's a little bit too much. And a lot of that stuff here has kind of fixed that. And there will still be some good aggro decks. I have a couple in mind already. But anyways, let's go to the Planet Tuffle errata. So basically now they're adding to the permanent here. In addition to everything else, you also have to have no battle cards in play to reduce the cost of a counter by 1. Now let's see their reasoning. With adjustments to aggressive strategies, decks featuring Planet Tuffle and Baby Spear the Tuffles can produce overwhelming amounts of defensive capability. We decided to apply the following errata to regulate the power of Blue Baby strategies. So I like this and I don't like this. I don't like this because they didn't touch Android 17 Turning the Tide, which is the entire reason that Blue Baby can feel oppressive, because I talked about it before. Blue Baby can stall almost infinitely, but if you take away that auto win boss monster, it doesn't feel as bad, if that makes sense. This errata, I don't love it because in a lot of scenarios it doesn't actually feel like it's done anything, but I guess it has done something in the cases where, like, you know, your opponent's already used a Gohan Baby's minion, and now unless they want to combo that off the field, they can no longer use Revenge Bang Bang attack for 1 energy. They can no longer use another copy of Gohan Baby's minion for 2. They have to pay full cost as long as they have a battle card in play. So there is some pretty simple ways that Blue Baby can get around this to not really feel the effects of this errata, but I do like the step in the direction that it is of trying to nerf Blue Baby. But anyways, the biggest one here has to be the Young Invaders errata. So basically, for the ability to give your opponent a Young Invader, which as we know burns them for life and lets them draw a card, and it's the main way that King Vegeta is able to play their Vegeta, Goku, and Broly cards. That effect now is tied to 1 red energy. You have to pay a red to give your opponent one of the Young Invaders, and you have to pay a red now to give yourself one of the Young Invaders. Now, everything else they've done, they've killed the King Vegeta aggro deck. That deck just cannot exist anymore. King Vegeta, if it's playable at all, would have been mid-range. This errata to the field card, though, man, I do think this is actually one step too far. I think they could have definitely gotten away with this list without doing this, because it really just feels like King Vegeta is dead as a result of this, which is not the worst thing in the world. There are plenty of other good red leaders to play, like Starter Deck Vegeta as one quick example. I do think Red Broly will still be pretty decent, and I'm sure there are other ones worth exploring, like maybe Red Jiren and things like that. But yeah, I think this was just a little step too far. Yeah, giving your opponent a free guy that would burn them. I mean, technically it wouldn't burn them, it would give them the life to their hand, so they wouldn't really lose out on card advantage. And it was a way for King Vegeta to facilitate their very cheap battle cards, like switching gears and Super Saiyan God Vegeta to the next level, stuff like that. But I think that would have been a much more acceptable deck, even with Young Invaders as it was, to you know, considering all the different hits they've done here. But overall, guys, I mean, I guess we're getting to the end of this now. That's pretty much covering the whole list. I do like it. I think this list was done very well, maybe too much at the beck and call of the community. Again, I wanted a list. I wouldn't have been upset if there wasn't a list. I'm a little bit indifferent in that sense, but I am very happy at what they've done here. I think the only thing I really think is the Young Invaders is a step too far, and Planet Tuffle might not have been far enough, but the rest of it, I like it. I'm definitely very satisfied. I do appreciate Bandai listening to the community, and I want to know what you guys have to say in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.